You're listening to KTST FM, Orange County. Now broadcasting from coast to coast and around the world at KTSTFM.com. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome to episode 4 of Secret City Geek Lab, your resource for the week in geek news and features. We'll talk movies, TV, comic books, video games, and anything geek. I'm your host, Alan Ng, and you'll hear from me and members of the Improv comedy troupe, Secret City Comic Society. Today's show is brought to you by Secret City Comic Society, the best in all ages improv comedy in downtown Fullerton. Visit Secret City Comic Society and the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com. Right now, you're listening to Anna Managuchi and Blackout City. Coming up this week, a video game review of Tomb Raider, a trip report to Disneyland's Fantasy Faire, a discussion of the City Debacle, and a movie review of Jack and the Giant Slayer. Up first, we're going to talk video games. With this review, we're going to talk about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is a thrilling adventure that serves as the origin story of Lara Croft. It came out on March 4th from Square Enix. It's rated M for mature, and our resident video game reviewer, Davey Linam, comes in with this report. This is Secret City Geek Lab, and this is our video review. I'm here with Davey Linam. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, and we're here to talk Tomb Raider. Davey, you had a chance to play Tomb Raider.
I did.
On what system?
I played it on the PC.
What's Tomb Raider about? This version, at least.
This version of Tomb Raider is a prequel to the Tomb Raider games, and it's kind of like showing you how she became this treasure hunter, this Tomb Raider, you might say. It's kind of like a backstory and how she became this, such an iconic character and such a powerful person.
Okay, so how does the game start, and what do you have to do?
It starts out with a shipwreck. Your ship gets caught in a storm, and you land on a beach, and you get kidnapped. And so a lot of the beginning of the game, before the title even comes up, is you escaping this cave where there's a lot of dead bodies and a lot of cut action scenes and a lot of kind of puzzle like things that you have to get through. Not necessarily like killing enemies, but it's an escape scene, and it's
so it's figuring out how to escape. It's solving puzzles to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And is this first person or is it third person?
It's third person.
Third person.
It's a third person game.
Okay, and it is available on the other formats as well.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you think?
I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It was set up to be an open world, but it was very linear in the way the story was played and the way the game was played. Like there are fast travel points, but when I was playing, I really didn't find a need for them. As far as I got into the game, because there really wasn't a lot of side missions that I noticed. A lot of it was story based. Showing you what's going on this island.
Okay, so the game is engaging. How long did you play it?
I played 9, 10, 11 hours.
Okay, and in terms of replayability, are you pretty much going to play through it once and that's it, or are there replay options? Or would you like to replay it?
I might replay it, but the likelihood of that is not high because it's a very linear story.
Okay. So it's guiding you from puzzle to puzzle, solve it, and then move on.
Yeah.
All right, so from a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
7.5.
7.5. All right, very good. This is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan Ng. This is Davey. This has been a Tomb Raider video game review. The weekend's approaching, and you and your friends have nothing to do, or you're looking for a safe place where you and your family can just laugh. The answer is Secret City Comic Society, OC Weekly's 2011 Best Improv Group. For 90 minutes, the Secret City cast will make up comedic scenes based on your suggestions. No two shows are ever the same, so it's a new experience every time you come. Secret City Comic Society has shows every Friday night at 8 o'clock and Saturdays at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. in downtown Fullerton. Mention Secret City Geek Lab, and tickets are only $7.50 per person. For more information about one of Orange County's best improv comedy shows, check them out at secretcitycomedy.com or at Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. This is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan Ng, and you're listening to KTST FM. Up next is our Fantasy Faire trip report. Last week at Disneyland, they just opened a brand new land for little girls, opportunity to have a meet and greet with princesses at near Fantasyland, and I had an opportunity to take my daughter to see this new land. But before we start our full report, I just want to let you know that pictures of the trip are available online at secretcity.com/geeklab. Just do a search for Fantasy Faire in the review section. You'll hear this report and see a lot of pictures and some video as well. So let's take a listen to that report. I had a chance to visit Disneyland's Fantasy Faire, the new section of Fantasyland, just west of the Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland. Fantasy Faire is located where the Carnation Plaza used to be. They've revamped the entire area to make it a princess meet and greet for young girls. And fortunately, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and this was the perfect opportunity to come. You'll go down Main Street, and you'll see a little bridge, and across that bridge is the Fantasy Faire. Once you cross it, you're kind of brought into this immersive fairy tale environment. There are 2 basic areas to Fantasy Faire, and that's the Royal Hall and the Royal Theater. The Royal Hall is the princess meet and greet. The Royal Theater is the storytelling show. First thing we did was go to the Royal Hall, and right when you enter, there's a sign, and it tells you 2 things. One is the wait time, and second is the princesses you'll meet. For us, the wait time was 40 minutes, and it really was 40 minutes. And the princesses we met were Sleeping Beauty, Ariel, and Cinderella. My daughter was especially excited to meet Ariel that day. We got in line, and the way the line works is part of it's under canopies with ceiling fans. At the 40-minute point, we were barely outside of it, so we were standing in the sun for a few minutes until we finally got under the canopy. So the line is especially long, and it's an especially hot day. You're going to be sweating it out for a while. But once you get under that canopy, they got those ceiling fans going, and it does feel good. The line moves painfully slow. You kind of expect that. They allow maybe about 1 group in per minute, so it does take a while. So finally we enter the room, and the nice thing about the Royal Hall is not only do you get to meet your princesses, but you're in a room, and so it's a nice, quiet environment. The ceilings are high, they got walls, so the sound kind of deadens when you get inside, and it gives you that intimate moment for your daughter or child to meet a princess and interact with her individually without having people stand in line and watching you. There's 3 sections. In each of the 3 sections is a princess, and you just move from section to section. There's a PhotoPass photographer there, so you want to have your PhotoPass. You want to have your camera, your cell phone, your iPhone, anything. They will take a picture for you. So what will happen is when the group in front of you is done, they'll walk away, and my daughter in this case runs up to the princess, gives her a big hug. They talk for a little bit, and the PhotoPass photographer is able to get pictures of the hug and these interactions. And then you'll give them your camera. You'll take a picture, you'll get a nice moment there, and then you'll move on. The whole experience probably takes anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time you spend with each princess. But you are getting that one-on-one interaction with the princess. You are placed in a royal environment, so the backdrop around you is really nice. Great for a photo. You're not behind some kind of painted wall, but you're in many cases behind like a throne or a seat or something. Very immersive and really good time. Your kids will love it. Once you get out of the Royal Hall, though, you're immediately dumped into Fairy Tale Treasures, which is a store. Now, I will say this. There's a gap, a nice large gap between the exit and the store. So if you want to avoid that store, here's a little tip. Move immediately to the left, turn, move to the center of the plaza, and you'll miss the store completely, and your kids will never know there was a store there. That's a great tip for those who want to save a little bit of money. Next, we move to the Royal Theater. In the Royal Theater, they tell 2 stories. In the morning, they'll tell the story of Rapunzel. In the afternoon, they'll tell the story of Beauty and the Beast. This is a story that features 2 vaudevillian-type storytellers, Mr. Smythe and Mr. Jones. And through a little bit of comedy and singing and dancing, they'll tell the story. What they basically do here is they'll take the story, they'll take the high points of those stories that they can act out in a comedic way, and then they'll act out those scenes. And then in between, the storytellers will go really fast and give you a lot of exposition and just kind of get you from scene to scene. The best thing, though, is it's interactive. You'll say huzzah and fi at the right moments. In Beauty and the Beast, there's a point in which the entire audience is encouraged to sing the song Beauty and the Beast together as Belle and the Beast are dancing. In this one also, there was a puppet of Lumiere, which is really exciting, but really interactive. My daughter really enjoyed this show. So this is definitely a worthwhile show to see. Show's about 20 minutes. And so here's the best way to do it. If you want to be in the theater, have a seat, my suggestion is to get in line right at the end of the prior show. So you may see a little bit of the show, but get in that line and you'll almost be guaranteed a seat. Also, if you don't get there in time, you can stand outside of the theater. It's kind of a tent situation. You can kind of see in. There's a lot of obstructions, but you can see, you can hear. So that's something you may want to do. Moving on. So we have the Princess Meet and Greet, we have the store, we have the show, and now the food. We went to Maurice's Treats, which is right across from the Royal Theater. We particularly purchased the Strawberry Twist, which is basically a piece of strung-out pastry lined with strawberry jelly. Tasted really good. Very refreshing. I didn't think it would be that refreshing in the heat that we were experiencing, but it was. And very good. And it was $4.95, so it's a little bit expensive, but you'd expect that when you go to Disneyland. And then also, they have drinks. They have these fizzy drinks. I did not personally have one. They were very expensive. They were about $6 for a drink, and I'm just not willing to do that at this point in time. I don't think it's worth it. A couple of Easter eggs to point out. At the exit of the Royal Hall, there is an animatronic Figaro and Bluebird. We should be posting that video on our site at secretcitycomedy.com, or you can go directly to our YouTube page at youtube.com/secretcitycomedy. But it's an animatronic Figaro from Pinocchio, the little cat, and there's a little bluebird in a cage that's constantly waking him up. At the entrance of the Royal Hall is Clopan's music box. There's a wheelie spin, Clopan dances in it, people, little figures, little scenelets kind of move across the scene as it goes on. And if you look at the crowd, you'll see some of your favorite Disney characters. Well, that's our trip to Disneyland's Fantasy Fair. I'm Alan Ng with the Secret City Geek Lab on KTST-FM.
Welcome back to Secret City Geek Lab on KTST-FM. I'm Alan Ng. Up next, we have a movie review of Jack and the Giant Slayer. Jack and the Giant Slayer tells the story of an ancient war that is reignited when a young farmhand unwittingly opens a gateway between our world and a fearsome race of giants. Unleashed on the earth for the first time in centuries, the giants strive to reclaim the land they once lost, forcing the young man Jack, played by Nicholas Hoult, into battle for his life to stop them. This movie was recently reviewed by Melissa Kirkpatrick of Secret City Comic Society, and here's her report.
This is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan. I'm with
Melissa.
All right, Melissa saw the movie Jack and the Giant Slayer, so this is her review. Melissa, what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was pretty good.
Is that a tentative pretty good?
Yeah, when I went in to see it, I thought that at first it was going to be awesome. Like, I don't know, I liked the previews and all that stuff, but I was just kind of, like, disappointed pretty early on.
Why?
It was just a little bit just cheesy, actually pretty darn cheesy. The romance between the two main characters was just a little bit like you couldn't really just believe it. And so I'm like, oh, like, okay, like I was trying to get past that. I was just waiting for like the giants and
some
then
action.
just I just wanted more action for sure.
All right, so when did it turn around?
It turned around when the seed was, dropped into the dirt and grew.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oops. Yeah. Well, like no one knows that story. But yeah, when it all started happening, it just took too long to get to that.
Okay, and how was the acting?
The acting was pretty good. I liked Jack. He had like that innocent quality, but he was also like you believed him becoming brave. You know what I mean? It was believable. His passion for the other characters, came through really well.
Okay, and the special effects?
The effects, there were some really bad ones in the beginning where you're like, you feel like you're watching a video game sample almost.
Uh-huh.
Like,
can you give an example? What was it in the movie that?
Like in the beginning, they're telling the story to the little kids, of Jack and the Beanstalk, and they're reading the book, and when they're illustrating this as they tell the story, I guess that's probably why they made it look cheesy, because they're not getting into the actual world yet. But it was illustrated in an animated way, but the animation wasn't good. It was like I said, like something you would see someone make at whatever, like, I don't even know, DeVry or whatever college it is where they make video games. I was like, I hope the effects are not going to be like this, like the whole time.
Okay, and then you said the movie really picked up at the back end of it.
Yeah, it did. The giants looked awesome for sure, and their characters and their faces were, like just had a lot of human quality that just like really drew you into them. And, the general effects towards the end were cool. But I just say overall the script just didn't really like pull through the entire story. Just, I don't know, even with the effects, like it was okay. I was disappointed, but yeah, like I said before we started this, that Ewan McGregor was awesome. He was super cool, like for sure. He was the best part about it.
Okay, and then
So if you were to recommend this, would you tell people to see it in the theaters, watch on video?
I would definitely say wait to see this movie. Don't go to the theaters. Don't pay the full price to see it. I mean, it makes sense because it's big screen, giants on the big screen. That's cool, but yeah, the movie itself is not worth the price.
Okay, so from a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being best, what would you rate Jack and the Giant Slayer?
I would rate it a 6.
All right, so this is Alan Ng and Melissa for Secret City Geek Lab and our Jack and the Giant Slayer movie review. The weekend's approaching and you and your friends have nothing to do, or you're looking for a safe place where you and your family can just laugh. The answer is Secret City Comic Society, OC Weekly's 2011 Best Improv Group. For 90 minutes, the Secret City cast will make up comedic scenes based on your suggestions. No two shows are ever the same, so it's a new experience every time you come. Secret City Comic Society has shows every Friday night at 8 o'clock and Saturdays at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. in downtown Fullerton. Mention Secret City Geek Lab, and tickets are only $7.50 per person. For more information about one of Orange County's best improv comedy shows, check them out at secretcitycomedy.com or at Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. You're listening to Secret City Geek Lab at KTST-FM, and this is Alan Ng. We're going to talk video games once again, and now we're going to talk about the SimCity debacle. When SimCity launched just a couple of weeks ago, players experienced significant network problems. In order to play the game, you couldn't just buy it and then download it on a computer. You had to register it online and then log into a server to play it. Problem is these servers were not prepared for the massive popularity of this game, and it took a long time just to start the game up. CNET called the launch a complete disaster. So what happened to SimCity, and what do you think regular gamers think? Our resident game reviewers Davey, Linam, and Joey Shope discuss the problem. This is Secret City Geek Lab and our video game discussion, and today we're going to discuss the SimCity debacle. So one of you guys, tell me what happened.
Okay. Basically what happened is that when SimCity was released, the only way to play the game was online. Yeah. It was DRM and...
Digital Rights Management?
Yeah. Okay. And the servers would not. It took forever just to get
They had servers, it's just they didn't think that they were going to need that many. And then some of them went down, and then so they only have like this tiny, like drop in a bucket of servers for this massive ocean of people playing the game. So people were sitting there they had a timer, because usually the servers, you get like a 2-3 minute timer before you log on. They're having timers that had like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And even when you waited, there's people who videotape themselves waiting that 30 minutes, and then it just went error, and nope, you can't get on.
All right, so you waited and nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's even just to play by yourself. Normally, when you play a game, if you want to play by yourself, you go on, you play it. But waiting for a server to play by yourself is...
What is funny, though, is these really smart group... Well, they're hackers, so they got to be smart. Figured out that inside of the coding of the game is an offline mode. Mm-hmm. So these hackers figured out that, you can just have an offline mode, which my theory was that EA was going to announce that you can buy an offline mode, knowing EA as well as, as a 20-year-old gamer does. They were probably going to sell you the option to play it offline. And so now there is this small group of people now playing SimCity, but not on the servers.
So let's get down to the money aspect. How much was the game?
Standard new game cost
$60.
Yeah, $50 to $60.
Okay, and was there a cost to be on the server, or was that free?
No, you got your spot on the server by paying for the $60 game.
But then you couldn't play the game.
Yeah. So people will spend $60 want to play this game. Well, now they're just going to sit there and wait 30 minutes. Oh no, never mind, nothing.
Okay, so this happened about 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I think about that.
From the time of the statement. So what's going on right now?
Well, not that long ago, the president of EA stepped down.
Yeah, and to try to fix the game, or try to fix the problem, I think they're giving players who bought the game a free EA game, like Battlefield 3 or Need for Speed.
Okay, so no one's playing the game right now, or it's just very difficult to get
Very difficult, very few people. I mean, I think they're slowly adding more servers or trying to fix the problem, but it's a very slow process. I would argue that the SimCity is not going to be available for everyone for another month. Okay. In about a month's time, everyone should be able to. You can just download from Steam and start playing it in about a month.
Okay, it's weird because I would think they'd be able to get servers up quicker by just getting more servers.
Yeah, you'd think so, but it's been 2 weeks and the problem is still going on. And it's a little better, but at the rate that it's going, people are just people have so little faith in EA as of right now before SimCity because they're just this money. They essentially just use cash cows to get more and more money.
All right. So what was the problem? Was it just too many users, too popular?
Yeah.
Poor planning.
Yeah.
It was very poor planning.
Okay, so they did not anticipate the demand.
Or they thought they could just use a shoddier product. Not as good service. The service can hold as many people, but yeah, poor planning would probably be the biggest part.
Okay, so what is your impression of EA today?
I'm not happy. I feel like what they're trying to do with video games is making it a money grab instead of caring for the games. But I'm hoping it'll turn around with another president.
I mean, one would have to hope so. I mean, EA goal is not entertainment anymore. Although they make a fine product, it's all about just getting that money. I mean, don't they own both Battlefield and the Call of Duty series?
No, I don't think they own Call of Duty.
Well, I'm not surprised, because...
But they own Dead Space.
Yeah, pretty much everything but Call of Duty is owned by EA, and they've been just declining in quality. And as someone who plays NFL games made by EA, you can definitely tell that every year it's slightly getting worse, or they're changing it too much.
Okay, and then I guess my question is, why did it need to be online at all?
You're asking that question, and so is every other person who bought that game.
Well, do you know the company reasoning behind it?
The reason is that when someone torrents a game, when they download it illegally offline, you can't play on the servers. To be able to play the game, you're not able to play on online servers. So when people make games, multiplayers are never available unless someone finds a way around them, but that's very unlikely.
Okay, so this was a means to protect their product by saying, if you want to play the game, you have to purchase it. You can't copy it, can't find a pirated version.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
And each game basically has a key that gets you onto the server.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that whole thing just fell apart.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan. This is
Davey.
Joey.
And that's been our talk on the EA debacle.
This is Alan Ng and the Secret City Geek Lab. You're listening to KTST-FM. Coming up next is the Week Geek, Week in Geek. The latest in geek news and nerd culture. First up, we're going to talk about movies. Coming March 29th is G.I. Joe Retribution. G.I. Joe Retribution is directed by John Chu, based on the Hasbro G.I. Joe toys, and it serves as a sequel to the 2009 G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra. The film was written by Zombieland writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, and G.I. Joe Retribution features an ensemble cast starring Bruce Willis and Dwayne Johnson, with Channing Tatum, Ray Park, Jonathan Pryce reprising their roles from the first film. Again, that movie comes out Friday, March 29th. And then up on video, John Dies at the End. This comes out Tuesday, April 2nd. A new street drug that sends its users across time and dimensions has one drawback. Some people return as no longer human. Can two college dropouts save humankind from the silent, otherworldly invasion? The movie stars Chase Williamson, Rob Mays, and Paul Giamatti, who is going to be starring as the Rhino in the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 2. John Dies at the End comes out on video on April 2nd. Rotten Tomatoes has it as fresh as 60%, so that's barely fresh. Let's go over some miscellaneous news. If you want to know more about geek news, be sure to visit us at secretcitycomedy.com at the Geek Lab. We're all posting every day various geek news, pop culture, video game, movies, whatever. Any kind of news that comes up, you can find it at Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com. Deadline.com reports that Robert Redford is in talks to appear in Captain America 2. Seems kind of a wild stunt casting, but Deadline.com has always been right in the past. They were first to announce that J.J. Abrams was going to direct Star Wars. I didn't necessarily believe them, but they were right 2 days later. Also, Disney and IMAX, they are set to co-produce a space picture. They're going to work together and create a movie that takes place in space, kind of a nature documentary series. Comic book news, we're going to talk about Age of Ultron. Angela from the comic book series Spawn, produced by Image Comics, is coming to Marvel Comics. She'll appear first in Age of Ultron and then appear in Guardians of the Galaxy. What's interesting about this is that Angela comes from a different comic book publisher, Image Comics, which produces The Walking Dead. Neil Gaiman is the one who created Angela, along with Todd McFarlane, and there was a heavily contested ownership issue between the two of them, Neil and Todd, because Image allows independent comic book creators to own their own comic books and own their own characters.
Well, when these two collaborated, they fought over who really owned the characters that Neil Gaiman had written for that series. In 2012 or 2010, I believe, the courts decided that they both co-owned it. And then a deal was struck between Gaiman and McFarlane that Gaiman would own the rights of Angela overall. And now she'll appear in Marvel Comics. Also coming up in May 17th through June 9th, that's Star Wars Weekends at Walt Disney World. During those weeks, you'll get to experience Star Wars related activities, your panels, and you'll also get to meet various stars from the movies, including Ray Park and Warwick Davis. That's May 17th through June 9th. If you go to secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab, you'll be able to see a poster showing Mickey Mouse as one of the Force Rebel troopers from Return of the Jedi. Well, this has been Secret City Geek Lab. This is episode 4. The show will expand just beyond me. We're looking for people who love geek culture, movie reviews, video game addicts, and people who love comic books, including DC and other independent comics. If you're interested in being a reviewer, contact me at geeklab@secretcitycomedy.com. This has been Secret City Comics Geek Lab, brought to you by Secret City Comedy, Fullerton's best all-ages improv comedy. Come back next week for news and updates in the world of geekdom and nerdity. And now we're ending today's show with Anna Managuchi and the Mermaid.